Guys, welcome back, and this is the another lens review from me. This time it's the HD Pentax-D FA f2.8 24-70 ED SDM WR lens. Let's have a look at tech specs, and once we've done that I will take you through my views on the lens. Okay, so the technical specifications of the HD Pentax-D FA 24-70 f2.8 ED SDM WR. HD is the coating, FA means that the lens is full frame, ED references some dispersion glass, SDM is the motor that drives the lens, and WR means weather resistant. Now, before I go into this, just a quick note on build quality. Something I've noticed about this lens while recording this video that I've never noticed on any other lens is I have a few marks on the front element of my lens. They've never affected the image quality at all, but I think that they're happening because it is very, very awkward to put the lens cap back on this lens when the lens hood is on properly. I'm very careful with my gear, and I've never made a mark like this on another lens ever, so that's quite a noticeable thing for me. But anyway, to the tech specs. This lens, as we probably know, is a rebadged Tamron. It has a widest aperture of f2.8 and a narrowest aperture of f2.22. The minimum focus distance is 38 centimeters. It does have quick shift autofocus. It is not internally focusing. The focus extends. The filter size is 82 millimeters. It has 17 elements and 12 groups, and it has 9 blades diaphragm, which are rounded, which helps to give pleasing bokeh for those of you like Eddie who really care about that sort of thing. It's been around since 2015. It weighs in, it's 787 grams, which is mid-range weight, I would say. It's 88.5 centimeters wide and 109 centimeters tall. Interestingly, the Tamron lens that this lens is based upon has actually had a couple of updates since this lens was produced. I think they're on version 3, but probably version 2, at least version 2 of the Tamron version of the 24-70, which Pentax don't seem to be rolling out those improvements. So if you've been watching my recent lens reviews, you've probably realised that I'm doing them in a batch. As my t-shirt hasn't changed, I do own more than one, and I'm sat in the same chair at my kitchen table. But anyway, the lens, the Pentax-D FA 2.8 24-70. You'll notice it's not a DFA Star, and I remember when it first came out, before I had the money to buy one, a lot of people kept saying this is a Star lens. It's a Star lens. It's a Star lens by other name. It's not. It's definitely not. The build quality is not Star lens standard. The lens itself doesn't internally focus, as you'll see in the tech spec video. Yeah, but it's solid. It does feel well made. This is the lens that's always on my K1. In fact, it's still on it, and I couldn't be bothered to take it off for this video because it's quite late at night, and I'm generally quite a lazy person. Anyway, so yeah. The 24-70, it's a workhorse lens. I have always been happy with the quality of the images that come out of this lens. The focus is fast, the focus is efficient, the pictures are sharp, corner to corner. It renders colour really nicely. I think the HD coating is must do a very good job. Typical Pentax oversaturates the reds, easily fixed in post. Never sure that the lenses of the cameras or just the nature of RGB colour spectrum. Anyway, don't pretend to be an expert on that sort of thing. It's a nice lens. I use it all the time. It's part of the trinity of lenses that I say every professional should have, along with the 15-30, which I don't have, probably never bother buying, and the 70-200. Don't shoot landscapes, don't really see much use for 15-30 for me personally, although, you know, gear acquisition syndrome one day. Yeah, it's workhorse lens, f2.8, nice and fast, nice and snappy with the focus. It's always left on my K1. well, always is an exaggeration of course, but it's the one, when I pack my gear away, I bring my K1 and my full frame lenses home with me from the studio. I leave my K3 and my APS-C lenses in the safe at the studio, so that if ever I have to go to the studio in a hurry because something's happened and I haven't getting there and I've got to meet a client or whatever, I've got some gear there to work with. K1 I bring home because I want to do something for myself. This is the gear I want to be using most of the time. I leave the 24-70 on because I've got 2 small kids. Still listen to that baby monitor. Yeah, and of course they're very important to me, as kids generally are to their parents. And if I need to grab the camera at the last, in a moment's notice, and I want to take a photo, then this lens is never perfect, always good enough. Yeah, that's not true. Say it's never perfect, it's just rubbish, isn't it, really? But what I mean is that there are primes that would usually do the job a little bit better, but primes and zooms should never be compared. It's like apples and oranges. A zoom lens, you buy it for the utilitarian nature of it, and you want it to be give it best image quality as possible. If it's beating the quality of a prime, then there's something wrong with the prime. Just the nature of physics. A prime should always be able to be designed better than the equivalent zoom. If the zooms are getting better than the prime you've got, then the prime you've got isn't up to modern technology. That's just my personal opinion. Feel free to lambast me for it in the comment section. But yeah, there's not a lot to knock with this lens, but I have heard via the Facebook groups for Pentax users that quite a few people are unhappy with this lens. Now I know it's a Tamron, I don't want to say knockoff because I'm sure Pentax have added some bits and pieces like their own version of weather sealing and things like that, and their own coatings, but yeah, I'd be just happy to buy the Tamron, to be honest, if it was available in K-mount, and if it was cheaper than I bought the Tamron, no doubt about it. There seems to be some quality control issues. A lot of people seem to have had dud copies that they're unhappy with. Really surprised me. I didn't realise that was the case until a recent thread was started by somebody, and lots of people said that they were unhappy with their version. Now I've seen a bit of hostility towards people saying Tamron and blah 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 blah. Not Tamron's fault, is it? It's Pentax. Pentax's badges on the lens. They're responsible for it. Their quality control. I'm in lots of photography groups that have got nothing to do with Pentax, and I don't hear anybody bashing Tamron quality control. So yeah, just my opinion, but if Pentax put their name on it, it's their problem, not Tamron's, to make sure the quality control is right. But anyway, as far as my company's concerned, touch wood, mine's been fabulous, absolutely fantastic, no real issues with it whatsoever. Still rather use a prime, but you know, when I'm doing one of my family fun sessions where I've got like 5 kids and 2 adults running around like maniacs in the studio and I don't know where they're going to be next, this is the lens that's on the camera. Yeah, anyway, take you through some images. I should have some here that I've got client permission to share, and some just general personally taken images as well. Walk you through them, have a look, see what you think. Okay, so here's some images from the 24-70. It was only when I was looking through these images I realised how much I use this lens. I use it a lot, and looking at the back of the images, you start to recall certain things about the lens, like how fast it is to find focus. This dog here, who I specifically decided to add for Lee Iverson, basically was brought along, I don't really shoot dogs, brought along to a family Christmas photo card session to be in the photo. We tried to get a few images of the dog on her own afterwards. She was very nervous in the studio, not really got a lot of training in that sit was an optional concept to this particular dog. So she was roundabout quite a bit, and the speed that this lens finds focus really helped just to get a few usable shots at the end of the session that are really nice and sharp as well. I mean, I did click a lot to make sure that I got some things for the owners, but yeah, the lens was outstanding and just getting something from essentially nothing. So another one from the same session. But yeah, I use this lens a lot. It's a great lens. It'll great deal of my photography is family portrait sessions. People tend to come to me for the sort of the bouncy, happy ones where we get the kids to mess around and run around and just generally try to get some genuine smiles and looks. And speed of focus, ability to pull out, zoom in quickly to try and get some images is a big thing, and this lens really helps you do that. Just to give you an idea, when I do a family portrait session, it normally runs for 45 minutes in front of the camera, and from that 45 minutes I will usually produce in between 30 and 50 unique images, as in not images that are just slightly different to each other. Using a zoom lens really is essential in making that happen. So you can take this shot, then you can quickly zoom in and get a solo shot. I mean, that's one keeper per minute a lot of the time. So yeah, the speed of focus that this lens has and its utility in pulling out for a group shot, pulling in for a headshot is awesome. Here we go, pulling out for a group shot. So the focus is really nice and sharp, as you can see here. Really good detail in the eye. That's shot wide open at f2.8 using a constant light, ISO 160, because as you know, constant lights aren't actually that powerful, generally speaking, unless you actually want to blind your subject, of course. Again, I think I've showed photos from this girl before, but yeah, you can just see the sharpness of it. That's a f8. The colour rendering is also really nice. Shot in low light here. Actually no, it's mixed ambient and flash, so it's not actually that low, but f5. So I feel like the detail that it renders is just really nice. Lightroom running a little bit slower there and pulling that up. I mean, it's grabbed onto the finger there, but I think actually I better chose his finger as the focus point. Yeah, as you can tell, if I shoot street, I do tend to like to shoot black and white. And although it's quite a big lens, you know my theory on street photography, that if you use a big lens, people are actually less bothered by you than they are if you use a small discreet camera, because you don't look suspicious, you don't like you doing anything odd. In this case, this couple of girls specifically asked for their photo taken. I have no idea who they are. They give me no way to ever pass the photo along to them, but there we go. And there we go, it's just another shot. You can imagine that I used the Sage Theatre as the focus point. No, I think I've used the boat. But anyway, you can see how nicely this lens renders, and it's sharp. I don't really know what more to say other than it renders really nicely and it's really sharp. It's a utilitarian lens. It's not a lens to get massively passionate about, but I was shocked at how many photos I've actually taken with this lens when I opened up my Lightroom and did a search on the lens. I think it was over 6,000 images just with this lens in studio at all, which really surprised me. Cracking lens, you can't go wrong with it. Well, you can if you get a dud one, apparently. And anyway, very happy with my version. If you find these totally subjective reviews of mine remotely useful, or any of the other stuff I talk about on this channel, then please give me a subscribe. I really appreciate it. And yeah, and if you feel the need to share my videos in a group somewhere that helps more people find them, then that would be awesome. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care. See you on the next video.